Uh,
All right. Does someone want to count me down for this YouTube pre-roll?
You got it.
sure.
Which one do I acknowledge? Of course. Hello, all you crazy Unshavenauts. Welcome to episode 14 of the Unshaven Rant-Cast. I am your host, the well-bearded Mark Allen Fishman. I am joined today with my brothers from other mothers, the incomparably fully bearded Matt Wright.
Hey, hey.
Yeah, you got to give him a soundbite. And then the not iron stubbled, but gray goateed Kyle Nepper.
Yeah. Far more salt than pepper, but it is what it is.
Hey, it's all right. Salt is a necessary mineral. You just happen to
Everyone
have a
loves
lot
salt.
of it. And you're not a salty person at all.
No. And
No,
don't you say
no,
otherwise.
No, sir.
Don't
no,
you say
no.
otherwise.
I won't.
He is. Oh, sorry. He's looking at me. Sorry, I can't do nothing.
He's got the finger.
You be
All right,
Mm.
praying.
guys. It is a special episode of the Unshaven Rantcast. We're not going to have any other topics today. We're just going to go ahead and flash up the Unshaven News soundbite, and that's the show. Because we've been away for a while and we got a lot to talk about. So,
Oh, it's a shorty? Sweet.
not by my notes. We got
Convention
plenty.
experience special.
Yeah, we got like a con and a half to get through. So, there's plenty to
All right,
talk about. So,
let's.
uh, that's enough silence for me. I should be able to figure out where to put that unshaven news. So, by the way, shout out to Dan Levy for that amazing radio broadcaster voice that interjects into our podcast. He also does the narration at the bottom of our podcast. So if you've ever listened to that weird ramble rant at the end, that's all Dan. And it's funny because he didn't even think we were going to include it. And heck, I keep laughing every time I hear it. So,
So
all
does this
right.
mean I don't need the D6?
You don't really even need the D6.
All right,
No.
I'm just
Sweet.
basically going to tee up all
putting it
these
down.
topics about our trips to Las Vegas and then Traverse City. And we're going to take people through what I'd like to call the good, the bad, the meh, the ugly, all of it. We're going to cover these trips without getting
And
into too many
and
specifics.
and some of this will be news to me because I wasn't at Traverse City for anyone who didn't know. But Matt and Mark have been very tight-lipped about what exactly how the show went and what went down. So we'll all learn some things together.
Yes. Yes, we will.
Yay. Hey,
We
Mark, I
might.
hear my mother calling. I have to go.
All right.
So you stay.
Okay.
So let's start at the top.
Yeah, we're going to start with Las Vegas. I know that this is something that we've been talking about for weeks, if not months. So Unshaven Comics literally and figuratively rolled the dice, and we went out to the licensing expo in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. And this was overall, before, like, we're not going to bury the lead here. It was a great show. Uh, I'm not
Mhm.
coming on here to tell anybody Unshaven Comics signed a million deals. Stay tuned, here it comes. But
Yeah,
we
we're not
went
going to bait
there.
post you.
No, we went there first and foremost for an education, and we got it. I mean, I went to a couple of these sessions about the comings and goings of what licensing is, and I have a much better understanding of what that whole universe looks like and where Unshaven Comics sits in that universe. We are very much at the beginning of a completely new journey on that side of the coin. And I would dare to say that we had quite a bit of positive things to come out of it. And we'll get to that. But I don't want to jump all the way to the fun show because we had to get to Las Vegas first. So we're going to start with a topic that I'd like to call the bad. And that's starting at the Luxor.
Oh,
So
we're gonna go through this whole series of events.
the fans need to know.
Okay,
Keep Got to keep it transparent, man. You know.
Right.
gonna
So,
air our dirty laundry.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, suffice it to say, first of all, it was pretty nice. We all flew Southwest, and all three of us were able to sit in a row together on the plane ride up, and the plane ride itself was perfectly
Shoulder to
fine.
shoulder,
Yeah.
shoulder to shoulder the whole time.
True, true. It was a little odd. Kyle's hand was on my lap the whole time, but I didn't hate
I
it.
just hadn't seen you in a while, and
You were
it's how
warm. The in-cabin pressure was cold. Just
it's how I
Yeah.
find comfort.
Oh, okay. Well, that's how it started. You're welcome, Michael. No, so we got into Las Vegas no problem, and I kind of
got the
broke these
rental
things
car,
up.
no problem.
We did, and that actually will show up in the good section later.
No,
But
fair enough, fair enough.
anyway, we had uh, reserved 2 rooms at the Luxor specifically because it was connected by Skybridge to the Mandalay Bay, which is where the expo was taking place, which would have meant we could roll out of bed, grab some breakfast inside the hotel, and then just walk over and be at the show. So we got to the Luxor after setting up our booth, and we stood in what felt like the longest line in history. I mean, we could have been in that line for 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was one of those big like bank
Uh,
lines where it's like it weaved around and
Yeah,
around
it
and about
snaked forever.
four or five snake turns. And
Yeah,
it did,
they
but
weren't sh Hmm?
it did, but I mean, it did move with
Yeah,
some
it's
amount of regularity. So it wasn't like you were just, you felt stopped and then like a big rush of, a big rush and go and then
yeah,
stop for a long time. So
Bears fair to the Luxor because I counted there was like more than 10 people at reception checking people in, moving people fast. So the line was moving. It was
yeah.
just so incredibly long that it still took a while.
It did. And we get to the front of the line. We go over to the agent. I have my phone in hand with our confirmation numbers. He says, "Hello, sir. Welcome to the Luxor. What is the reservation under?" Give him my name. He starts typing and he looks a little confused and he's like, "Yeah, I don't see anything for that." I'm like, "Well, I have some confirmation codes." He's like, "Oh, great. Give them to me." And I start the first one. He goes, I couldn't even get through it. He goes, "That's not a confirmation code for us." I go, "I'm sorry." He goes, "Those aren't confirmation codes. We don't start our confirmation codes with LUX. That's not something we have. Could it be under a different name?" I'm like, "No, it really couldn't. It's Unshaven Comics." Or he goes, "Oh wait, yeah, here it is." And I kind of half breathe a sigh of relief, and then he flips the thing around. And he goes, "Yeah, you canceled this in February."
you
I was like, "The hell I
no.
did. I No, I did not. And in fact, I have right here, you know, no." And he goes, "I'm sorry, man. Well, here's the thing. I want to help you. And I'd even honor the rates that you got, but we're actually full booked up tonight. So would you like to make a reservation for tomorrow?" And I'm thinking, no, I don't want to spend one night somewhere, grab all our stuff, come back. That's insane. So no, we're done because I need to get to figure out who these people are and what happened. I get on my phone. I get the number of the group that we bought these reservations from, a group called Expo Way, and it called the phone number, and you get a this call may be recorded for self or for whatever
Quality assurance.
for quality assurance. Please hold. And a couple of seconds go by. This
And the
call,
whole
yeah,
terrible
and
hold music, if I recall.
terrible hold music. It recycles itself about 3 times and it goes, "We're sorry. We're suffering from some technical system interruptions. Please try again later." Click. And at that point, I felt duped. And not only did I feel duped, but my day job, one of my clients, just happens to catch and goes, "Mark Fishman, how's it going?" Right as I'm like mid anxiety attack. And all you can do is just smile and shake hands and try not to melt into a puddle as you're like, "Oh, this is great. We have no
Hold
place
it
to
together.
stay." Yeah,
Hold it together. Don't cry.
Don't let them
right.
see it. Don't let them
Don't let
see
him see
it.
it cry. So we did not go to the Luxor. Now, the only other thing I want to just touch on, that this kind of touch on the bad, and this is the only two bad things about the trip, honestly. Not getting into the Luxor like we had paid for, and two, paying for parking. Because everywhere you
Oh,
Oh,
got to pay for parking.
yeah.
$18 a day for us. And stupidly, when we got to Mandalay Bay, we didn't know that the convention center has its own separate place to park that's right on
Yeah.
top of it. So we
So
parked at the Mandalay Bay and walked across of it to get to the convention center, only to learn that we could just repark our car. Now, That being said, I did not actually have this in the list, but I'm just gonna spoil and go quickly to the good to say shout out to the Mandalay Bay staff. Every single person we talked to was super nice.
Yep.
Like, led
Yeah,
us to where we needed to go. The parking attendants were super cool. Everyone tried to like give you a deal where they could. So double thumbs up to them.
yeah,
Now
but I mean,
this, yeah, go ahead.
to go into the bad part about all that stuff. To be fair, in our defense, it is a first, well, it's a first time show. How often do we go to Vegas? Some of these things we don't know off the top of our heads. All we know is Mandalay Bay.
Yeah,
I mean, so, I don't feel like it's totally at our fault on some of these things. It's just, if you're ignorant of the situation, you just don't know.
pretty much. Now that led us out of the strip, and we ended up getting an affordable room together at the Orleans in a section I'd like to call the meh.
It was
The mid.
fine. It
It was the
was
Exactly. It's
mid.
fine.
not bad and it's not good. It was there.
I,
It
I
Yeah.
was
believe I believe we affectionately said it's mid.
it is very
It is
mid.
mid.
And
It's
honestly, for a mid room, it was as good as you're going to get for a mid room.
and
You know
and
the Sorry, Kyle.
I was just gonna say you have to appreciate the fact that when we checked into it, we had to we started this whole ordeal at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning for setting out from our homes to the airport, getting on the plane where we are now sitting shoulder to shoulder in fairly a fully booked plane, no empty seats. We get to Las Vegas where it is 95 degrees in the shade. We public transit worm our way to the car. We get through the issue with the convention center. We get through the issues with the Luxor. We scramble to figure out, okay, Orleans has rooms. We're going there. And by the time we get there, we're on about hour 21 of our day.
Yeah.
So,
So we were happy to get a room,
yeah, at
and
that point, it's just, I can
Yeah.
sit. There's bed. It's,
Uh, and and again, yeah, the room was nice. The couch was comfy. You're talking first world problems where we had to call up an engineer just to kind of take care of the AC unit. But once that was fixed, like you were perfectly fine. I would say my only real knock against the Orleans is that it is either old enough or grandfathered in, or I don't know what it is, but you can still smoke in the casino, and I know you can't smoke in all the casinos, but that was definitely one, and it is like pouring out the walls when you walk through the door. Like it's just
yeah,
the first thing you smell, and it's
the
the
lobby
only thing
stank.
you smell. It's the
you,
only
you've
thing you smell. So
you've
It's
got the
true.
crowd of retirees at the slot machines just smoking, just
Yeah, poking.
just going and going.
And the Orleans, by the way, touts as one of its restaurants a TGI Fridays. So if that doesn't pretty much set you up on what you should expect, it was
okay, it
fine.
touts a TGI Fridays that looks like a strip mall, and I'm the only one that wound
Oh.
up staying up late one night to uh not gamble, but I went to see a movie and I was just trying to find a theater and walking around and literally in the back, like down, like going on an adventure, going down a hallway just to find where this theater is in the back where the high rollers are per se is on one side and quite literally a mall food court is opposite of it.
Ooh.
Like that's like same kind of style of like walk up eateries, and I'm just like I don't know where I am. Like
Yeah, it was something else. Now, the other thing I'd like to put under meh, the Fremont Street experience. Now, I'm going to
I
point
thought it was
out
fine.
it, why I classify it as meh is because part of it was cool, part of it sucked. And when you put them together, it's an experience that you should go and do, but you should tamp down your expectation. So
Oh,
for
okay.
those who don't know, the Fremont Street experience is this like the world's largest LED canopy that they basically closed off the old strip, the drag, and they made it all a walkway. And there's old casinos, souvenir shops, street performers, bars, nightclubs, restaurants, all down this one stretch of street with this massive lit canopy that has animations and music. There's a zip line above you. And from the pictures and descriptions, it sounds amazing. And you get there, like when we drove past it because we took a detour so Kyle could see the CDW up there, and we passed by it, and just from the highway looking at it, going, "Yeah, I want to kind of see that." So the experience itself was pretty cool looking. I'd say once you actually start walking it, like I said, it felt like what purgatory might feel like. You're not quite in hell, but you're so close to it. Because
It,
there's
it
like, first of all, you couldn't, like, we parked at the Fremont Street Experience like official parking lot, which by the way was like $5, which was great. You come out of the
They know where they're making their money. Trust me.
exactly. You get out of the exit and now you're into the experience, and I'm not kidding. The doors opened and just immediate secondhand weed smoke the entire way.
Oh
Just the
yeah.
whole way through.
accurate.
Oh yeah.
And
For
the
anyone who
street,
wasn't aware, Nevada is a legal weed state. For anyone who didn't know,
yes,
just saying, because cops were sort of wandering around here and there as well.
right.
A lot of
And then
I don't know if you guys noticed, like there's a larger uptick of like U.S. Marshals as
I didn't
well. Did you
notice.
kind of notice that
Did not
too?
catch that.
No.
I was like, I just kept seeing like a lot of U.S. Marshals walking around too. I'm just like, it's very much kind of reminded me of just like the old West of just like it's still alive in some weird tiny sliver of a way.
Hey, I liked all 8 seasons of Justified. Uh,
So,
but
Mark,
like,
continue on what you hated.
it's not necessarily a hate, it's just an observation. All of the street performers, like, I'm sorry to lean into my own Jewishness, but I got this immediate vibe like if I stare or make eye contact, they're going to ask me for a tip. So I just constantly found myself looking down, looking over, looking around, identifying the obvious street performer. And unless it was like, oh, guy doing Michael Jackson dances, like I can enjoy that without standing in the circle and I won't have to tip. Walk, 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 walk.
I made eye contact with several of them, Mark. It was not a threat. They
Okay.
they are dead inside and waiting for you to come up so they can plaster the fake smile, give a thumbs up while you get a selfie with, the living statue or the bearded guy just as enthusiastically as he could twerking while dressed up like Marilyn Monroe. They
Or the
they're all
nun
there
whose
to
Yeah.
habit exposed her boobs.
yes.
Yes. Well,
Pasties though.
hey,
Pasties.
look,
Of course.
just
Las
saying,
Vegas law.
like there was no threat unless you got close. Like I was trying to find you guys as we're cutting through the crowds, and I got too close to one, and she reached out, kind of grabbed my arm, and she's like, "Hey, where you going?" I'm just like trying to catch up with my friends. It's just like, "Oh, what's the matter? Are you afraid?" I almost wanted to turn around and be like, "Oh, where you've been, honey?" Yeah, yeah.
Ma'am, I'm terrified. So we get to the end, and it's cool. It ends at the plaza. Anybody who Back to the Future, you've seen the plaza. It's very cool to see in person. There was a donut shop. I was impressed. It had like 70 donuts in a massive case.
And what was the name of the donut shop?
Pink?
The Pink Box.
Yeah, there you go. I just got that now.
Eh,
Uh-huh.
you
There it
did.
is. Just
I've been waiting this whole time to say Mark got himself a treat at the Pink Box.
That'll do it for the Unshaven Rant-Cast. I've been your host.
Gotta go, kids.
Yeah, it was a really good donut. Kyle got in a couple rounds of Pokemon Go. I noticed, enjoyed himself.
I did because I'm a giant nerd, and just gonna say I feel like I got the most out of the experience I could. I still saw everyone who's performing. I was tempted for street performers. We had Living Robot, we had guys breakdancing, we had showgirls. There was, I think I counted 8 people like folding palm tree leaves like into little ornaments or like things that you could pick up. It's like, I'm certain they're selling these things, but I'm afraid to
Oh,
ask
they
for how
absolutely
much.
are. They're
I'm
trinkets. They're bottles.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, wow, I can buy this thing that's gonna dry out and die in probably a week. So it's the whole, it's neat. You're gonna be upset if I take a picture, I feel like, and I'm definitely not gonna buy one. But they were cool looking.
Yeah, so that was Fremont. Um, yeah. So after that, let's get into the good, right? So all of those things were like blah to meh. You know, we definitely made some memories. Zoltar, Matt, got to visit Zoltar, and it told him to leave Unshaven Comics. You can go to our Instagram if you'd like to see why.
Just gonna say it wasn't a real Zoltar because you didn't get to feed it a quarter, and you didn't even have the things to do it right. So it was a Zoltar imitator, but
Yeah,
whatever.
What are you
Zoltar-ish,
talking about? No, what are you talking about? That's West Coast Zoltar.
West
You're talking
Coast
about
Zoltar.
East Coast Zoltar. East
Oh,
Coast Zoltar is going for change. West
Totally,
Coast is going
totally
for
different
dollars.
thing. There you
got
go.
it, got it.
So
I forgot about
the
the Zoltar feud.
right now, the first good I have here, aside from just fine flight, the 2024 Kia Sportage. Budget rent a car
Ah,
gave us a free upgrade. We were supposed to get like a
really?
small SUV to carry all the stuff that we bought, that we needed
Yeah,
to
like a
bring.
Rav4 or
Yeah, like
something
a
like
Rav
that. Yeah.
4. And they, when we got to the whole thing, they're like, hey, we're actually out of those. It was a big demand. So we're going to give you a free upgrade. We're going to give you a midsize SUV. And I was like, oh, cool. So it was like a 3-row deal. And for a brand new car that had less than 1,000 miles on it, look, I'm not going out to purchase a Kia, but I'll say for the 4 days we drove it, it was a fine car.
Mhm.
Yeah.
AC worked wonderfully. The included
And I
Sirius
believe
XM was nice.
the quote of the day from Kyle every day. I am shocked this car is not hotter than it actually is.
Yeah, with its weird cooling effect.
Yeah, it's okay. Remember what I said earlier? It was like 85, 90 degrees in the shade. We're coming out of our hotel. We stepped in the sunlight, like, oh, it's burning hot. So at that point, the sun's been up for like 2, 3 hours. We walk to the uncovered lot, get in our SUV that is not hot inside at all. I
All
mean, the
black
city
interior
didn't
too.
cool down that much at night. So the only thing I can attribute to, unless there's some kind of weird technology to this that I'm not aware of, is it was a fully white on the outside car. And all I can think is, oh yeah, black absorbs heat, white reflects heat. So maybe that's the science because we did see it. I kind of started looking after that, and I did see a lot of white cars around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not too many
but
black like the SUVs, but
I mean, like all in all, like we bitch about the heat and everything else and looking it up and saying 95 and the whatnot, but you are talking about the desert and it could have gotten a lot worse. But I have to say, for 90 in the desert, that dry heat, like, really did not feel it as
I
much as
can
say like Chicago here, where it's like, it could get to 90 and then the humidity added in, like you're just like
The
just
humidity is the
brutal.
difference.
Jesus, take the wheel. Like,
I mean, I guess to say, out of all three of us, I'm the one who gets hot the quickest, and
yeah,
I wasn't bothered, which is strange. So
right.
Sp Speaking of humidity, remember what I did the shower
Mm.
the first night?
Oh yeah,
I wanted to unwrinkle
just
my
different.
suits, so I let the hot shower run with our stuff in there for like half an hour.
A
yeah,
sauna effect. Yeah,
And I warned
that
Mark,
was
hey, before you go in there, it might be a little bit humid. At which point he opens the door and like
just a
this
wall of
cloud of
steam.
steam just envelops. I was like, oh my God.
yeah,
See that
that was a hard poop to take. That was
that was that was really
My
funny because
suits were perfect.
that was
The shirts
that
were
was
unwrinkled.
that was funny for me because I wound up crashing on the couch for 2 nights, fully admitting that I am not the salesman of the group. Mark can talk, Kyle can talk. I did what I could, so I was like, you guys get the better rest.
You did fine.
Um, and when we had the AC working finally, it was hilarious when it was my turn to take a shower. Mark, he's like, it's Florida in there, and he walks into the room and the AC unit's right there. He's like, Colorado Rockies, Florida, Colorado Rockies, Florida, Colorado Rockies.
good
I,
times,
I
good
was
times.
I was fully passed out by that point, I
Oh
believe,
yeah,
because I remember none
you
of
were done.
that.
Yeah,
You were
you went
done.
out. Now, next up on our list of good, and this is a special shout out to family friends, Howard and Marilyn Eisenstein. This is my dad's best friend, I believe, for many, many years, decades upon decades. Howard and Marilyn retired to Vegas in Henderson years and years ago. And every time my parents go out to Vegas, they always visit. Howard kind of acts as host. He picks them up from the airport, takes them to their hotel, and they always go out to dinner a couple times. Well, Howard and Marilyn were more than nice and extend their home to us to accept our new banner and some
Sure.
chairs and some other things that we needed for the show. And not only did they hold on to them for us, but they did us the courtesy uh, of not having to give us a Jewish goodbye. We came in, we said thank you very much. We picked everything up, we put it in the car, we said thank you so much, and that was it. Marilyn gave us all a hug goodbye. Howard wanted to make sure everything was good, and like that was it. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't look forward to saying hello to the family friends that my dad's known forever, but you know, we had places to go and they knew it and they let us just pick up the stuff and run. And we also got to meet their dog, who was hilarious. This little angry Yorkie that like came barreling out, and then just like we thought, oh, here comes the attack poodle, and this thing just went after a branch like no man's business. And Marilyn just laughed. She's like, yeah, she hates those branches.
This
She
thing just
hates
full on
bushes.
yeah, this thing just full on tackled a branch off the side of a bush, ripped the branch off, and proceeded to like fight it like it was attacking.
It was pretty
so
hilarious.
yeah,
It was adorable.
It was. And that led up to our next thumbs up, In-N-Out Burger.
Oh, yeah.
So Mike Gold, friend of the show, friend of ours forever, pinged me on Facebook to say you have to try In-N-Out. And I was like, really? Come on, man. Like, it's fast food burgers. He goes, no, 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 no. You're out there. You really should. And then this legion of people on my Facebook were all like, yes, you must. So fine. We did. And you know what? It was good. Okay. Like white flag, everybody. It was enjoyable. Now I'm a little perturbed that my Facebook turned on me and all told us that Unshaven Comics did it wrong. We're sorry that we didn't try the secret menu, but forgive us for wanting to try what's actually on the board first before we get all fancy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't it kind of feels like a cheat if I have to try the secret menu thing that tastes better than the base burger. Can I get a baseline first before we have to go to like the cheat? Or, you know, are you saying that it's that bad, but they have a secret way of cooking it that it makes it better? You know, you see where we're coming from, folks? Like,
Yeah. So all of us got cheese. Well, by the way, if you don't know In-N-Out Burger, for the five of you who don't, it's a chain that's mainly West Coast, and they only serve hamburgers, cheeseburgers, pop, fries, and milkshakes. That's it.
That's it.
No chicken sandwiches, no chicken tenders, no chicken fingers,
no soup, no onion rings,
nothing.
it's the Raising Canes of burgers.
Yes. Now there is, of course, some crazy ass secret menu. Go Google it. We can't tell you what to do, but I'll say this much: for what we paid and the experience overall, it was very good. Interestingly enough, I think we arrived on maybe the last day of high school because there was an exorbitant amount of high school kids that all came in. But let me commend whatever high school we were by, and we were at the In-N-Out, kind of close to the Roomba Stadium. And these teens, and there were dozens upon dozens of them, were super respectful. Came in, got their food, sat down, stayed in their own lane, didn't make a big fracas, ruckus, crazy. I mean, maybe we're all old men, but like all of us were like, oh God, here it comes. No problem whatsoever.
No, we even had some borrow a chair from our table because, three of us at a 4-person table. We got a spare.
And he was super nice. He's like, oh my God, thank you so much. We're like, thank you. So In-N-Out, thumbs up. Okay, good. Will we get it again if we're at the show next year? Probably, if we're right off the airport and we need food again. And then we'll try your fancy animal style fries.
All
right.
But I'm sorry. Is it just me, or does, if it's not on the menu, I just feel weird going up to something if it's like this quote secret menu and just being like, can I get can I can I can I get a burger animal style? And they're just supposed to look at me normal.
Like, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Because you do that in Chicago, you just get punched in the face.
Rightfully so.
Can I get that with ketchup? Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, sorry.
Snicked. Okay.
Yeah.
Next up here, keeping in the culinary traditions, Kyle, you can go dark if you feel the need. Matt and I would like to talk about the original Lindo Mishwakan. So
you know what? You know what?
Welcome, everybody. So let me just preface this much. When we went out to dinner, I was kind of adamant to stay off the strip because I didn't want to have to pay strip prices for parking or food. So the first night we found a Chinese buffet and it was serviceable. Not need to call it out. The second night, I just went to a blog where I put in best restaurants off the strip, and this one came up on Grubhub and Eater and like four other food blogs. And I looked at the menu very quickly while we were at the show. It looked pretty decent. So I was like, yeah, let's go there. It's an unassuming place. You walk in, there's a beautiful bar, but like authentic Mexican vibes. Like everywhere you look, there's artwork on the walls. I think they were playing soccer on the TV
Yep.
and
No,
all
bullfighting.
bullfighting.
It's
Sorry, yeah, bullfighting.
bull riding.
Bull riding, not fighting. And like a completely Hispanic staff, I think, or at least 90%.
Mostly.
So anyway, they sat us down. The menu itself is a little complex, or maybe a lot complex. There were a lot of pages and a lot of stuff to look at, but in essence, I give credit first to Matt because he just
It
asked. He just went to the server and said, "What's good here?"
well, I mean, and just like Mark said, there was a lot of options. You know what I equivalent to? It was like going to the Greek restaurant version of a Mexican restaurant where it's just page after page of stuff, and you're just like, there's so much. There is
Yeah.
literally so much, and it's just at that point, I'm just looking at everything. Everything sounds good. Everything smells good.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it said
it
like
was
Kyle ordered a Coke and they brought him a Mexican Coke, which was awesome. They brought
right.
chips and salsa and beans to the table. And I could say, like, the first crack at, oh, this place might actually be authentic. Matt had the salsa and Matt goes, whoa, whoa, spice. I'm like, and then immediately we're like, Kyle, don't do it.
I had a little.
Yeah.
For anyone who's
He had a
asking,
corner.
regular sized tortilla chip, I put like maybe a 20th. Like the tiny,
He breathed the corner of the chip into
I,
that sauce.
just the tip,
Just the tip.
just the tip to
Just the
try it
tips.
out.
Yeah. And I'd
And
say,
that
look,
was
so,
enough.
yeah, some people don't like spice. That's why we're looking out for you. Um, but yeah, when it came time to order, Matt turned to the server, asked what she recommended. She pointed out a couple of dishes. Matt picked a chicken dish. I picked carne, not carne asada, carnitas, pork dish.
Carnitas, yes.
Yeah, carnitas. And Kyle got a combo platter. I believe it was a taco, an enchilada, and a chili relleno.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that sounds accurate.
Yeah. They deliver the food. Matt takes a bite of his. I take a bite of mine. He and I lock eyes. We can hear the trumpets of Mexico playing the national anthem.
Ah, but see,
Oh,
you
I'm
are
sorry.
skipping
I
you are
skipped.
skipping one of the best soups I have had
I
in
actually need
that
to
tiny
refill my
shot cup.
water. So I'm gonna dip for a second. Matt, tell them of the soup.
Ah, yes. You you would think that a soup in a hot climate would definitely be the wrong play to make, but definitely in a little tiny in a small cup, they gave you a soup, and I could not place my finger on it for the life of me. It was definitely a type of a noodle, a thin noodle.
Very
The
thin,
broth,
like toothpick noodles. These
oh,
were
super thin. Um, and the broth I couldn't place on it, and eventually Mark did find the recipe, I believe, or he looked it up and he said it was like a thinned out tomato soup, but I mean like
oh,
almost to like a super thin broth texture, not like a thicker tomato soup. And
Right.
to say that Mark and I'm not, Kyle, you got some as well, right?
yeah.
We all got it.
Yeah. To say at least for Mark and me, like I don't know about Kyle, but like I was just looking at him going like, you know what? I could take a bowl. I could take a bowl of that and I would not be complaining. It is definitely one of those things where I am actually actively looking up recipes because sipping that was just, that hit that Midwestern, like, in the middle of winter, if I had a bowl of this, whoo, that's gonna
Good
cure what
soup.
ails you.
Good soup. So, okay, we could spend another half hour on the food, but anyway, original Lindo Michoacan, stem to stern, amazing. And likely, if we head back to Vegas, we're going back there. Okay, let's talk about the actual reason why we went to Las Vegas and why you're probably tuning in. We had 26 scheduled meetings and probably another 26 people stop by the booth over the course of 2.5 days, relatively speaking. The con itself is an interesting smattering of the biggest brands you've ever heard of in amazing decked out booths with nothing to do but meet people. So imagine like Hasbro and Mattel having a like toy show booth with no toys. Like
Well,
they got, I mean, they have
Well,
some things to
they're
examples.
like
present,
behind glass displays.
right?
So
But no
yeah.
one's taking the Nerf gun out and firing it. But it's like, here's a
No.
big thing to take a picture with, but just literally dozens of tables and chairs. This is a show where business brands get together and they make these collaborations happen. One of the big stories to come out of this show that happened while we were in our first meeting, Hasbro, for the first time ever, took over the brand of the Power Rangers. So whoever was holding it had a meeting at Hasbro. They sat down and said, "Yeah, we'll purchase that." So stay tuned for whatever happens there. But we had meetings, stem to stern, and I will say, I've never been more organized in my life because for the money that we put out, I was intending for us to squeeze every last drop of blood out of this turnip. So not only would we be educated, but we would be in the best position possible to find any success. And for us, that would be literally any licensing deal for the Samronauts. So we brought some books with us. We brought some brochures, business cards. We made the pitch into a giant banner, which, by the way, worked wonders.
It did. It absolutely did. And
And
that banner will be making appearances at our future shows, so don't worry.
oh, for sure. Yeah, it also includes the scariest base plate known to man because it is 5 feet long and solid metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on the plus side, when Kyle loses his voice, we're just gonna go Ross Perot style, take out the extendo stick, and just that is what we are about.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
One of those extending pointers is in our future. It's going to be great.
I already ordered one on Amazon for you.
Nice.
Props for all of our older fans that got the Ross Perot joke. So,
and for anyone who wants to start a betting pool now, how long does everyone think it's going to take for Kyle swinging around a metal pointer to actually hit Matt or Mark in the face?
I don't
Place your
think we'll even
bets.
get out of North Carolina, but we'll see. Now, we had a lot of meetings with a lot of people. Yeah. And I don't want to divulge information that I'm not allowed to. So I'm just going to put it to you this way. For the people that visited us who were very clear early that they couldn't work with us yet, they gave us tangible reasons why and let us know how we could work our way up to working with them. There were a handful of vendors and producers that came to us with their product and their ability that we will be tapping into and taking advantage of some new relationships forged there. There were about half a dozen people who are in the industry now and said, yeah, there's something here. Let's talk. And those people, every night, Kyle and Matt will attest, once we got back to the hotel, I pulled out all of the business cards right
In a
there.
little pouch. Yep, there's the stack.
And I took detailed notes about every single person. I ended up dropping them into a spreadsheet. And when we returned every night, I did follow up with a handful so that everybody could be followed up on from the show. 6 people, give or take, I think are genuinely interested and may actually have something for us. I think an additional 6 all said hard maybe, but follow up. And then another handful of folks that I didn't get a good vibe on, but we're still going to follow up anyway and see what happens.
Can I tell my fun story if I keep it vague without giving out any details necessarily?
Yeah. I'll bleep out anything that we divulge.
Fair enough. So just want to share this because I talked about it multiple times with people who do know me already, and I just love it.
Yeah.
So as Mark said, we had a number of people that we stopped while Mark's doing the official pitches. I held a pseudo version of our normal, can I tell you about our comic book sign, to just see anyone passing by. If we could talk to them about what we're doing, and maybe we'll just meet somebody in the industry. And a couple people turned out to be potential resources. So we're going to follow this up. One of them was an older woman, and we don't know who any of these people are. Everyone has badges on, so it eventually you can see what the company on their badge is. Sometimes there's a company name, sometimes there isn't. And we're just talking to everyone who stops. So this older woman in a very crisp suit stops, listens, and she's looking at the comic because I'm presenting to everyone to help illustrate who we are. And at the end, I ask, so this is who we are. This is what we're doing. Can I ask what company you're with? And she's an executive with a major popular food company. I won't say which one, only to say that it's probably safest in your refrigerator. So not a lot of synergy potential. And she says as much. It's like, I don't think this would be something we'd be able to synergize with particularly, but I loved hearing about it. And then she dropped, and I think my 15-year-old son would love this. Then she put it in her bag and turned and walked away. And I'd usually stop someone at one of these shows. Matt and Mark have often seen this at shows where someone start to walk with the comic, and I'll start it with a sir, sir, sir to stop them. But for some reason, the slight difference to the atmosphere, I couldn't bring myself to stop this person walking away with our comic, of which we had limited to display. So,
And this wasn't the only one.
no,
No, it happened a couple times, but
It
you know
did.
what, Kyle? Maybe it's just the whole fact of, like you said, the difference in the show, the atmosphere in the show, and hey, like you said, it was an executive for a high company. So there is that exuding just
I
presence of like authority and power. It's just like maybe they changed their mind.
yeah, I'm not I wasn't prepared to actually yell at someone who's probably a millionaire that day.
Probably.
I will also give kudos because we sold a book too.
That's
Well,
true.
not we, you. I didn't sell a book, you
I
did.
mean, the guy was interested and he's like, look, I'm not actually I'm not, I can't work with you guys. I wish I could, but I really want this book. How much is it? We're like, well, normally at shows we do them for 20. He's like, you're gonna take $20. I want the book.
We should have said 40. No,
Yeah,
no, no,
right.
no, no, no. We'd never do that. We'd never do
As he
that.
No.
flips over and sees like 25 a minute.
So here's an interesting thing. Now Matt already got a sneak preview of this. Kyle, this is news to you. And I'm sorry I
What?
wasn't able to divulge earlier in the week, but I just wanted to let everybody know I did follow up with every single person that we went to the show to that I had notes on to do that. And all cars are still on the track.
Really?
Every single person, including two people that in my notes said no vibes. One of the first people we talked to, he actually said, look, I'm not the guy, but I might know a person who is interested. And he gave me the name to kind of chase down. Well, I started to chase it down and I think I had found it. And the next morning, here's his email. Hey, man, I actually pitched that to my friend. They're in. So send me all the stuff and let's
Wow.
see where we're going. So all cars are on the track. It's very awesome to say that. And again, nothing is signed, nothing is going anywhere just yet, but no one has said no. And that even includes the one person who threw me on a deep Google search who said, oh my God, you've got to meet my friend. He works for Company Redacted, making a cartoon right now, and you got to find him. Okay. And when you find him, you need to mention my name and then he'll listen. I was like, okay.
I
Now,
remember that conversation. Yes.
so I found that guy and found his website that had no contact information whatsoever, but I recognized the face. So I went and found him on a social media platform and I sent the Hail Mary. And I said, hey, we went to the licensing show. We met your friend, so and so. They told me to come your way. Hope this gets to you. 4 hours later, hey, yeah, she's awesome. What's the idea? I gave him the pitch, copied and pasted, and he's like, okay, I'm working on the project till May, but I want all of this. Send it my way.
Yeah, Mark, if the comic thing doesn't feel like it's working out, maybe go into detective agency.
I don't know.
Sure.
I couldn't find him on his
Look,
site, or I couldn't find him, but I knew that face.
look.
Well,
It's just look. All you got to do, like Mark is clearly, that Oracle type figure just on the thing, and just he's gonna text me or Kyle and just like, I just need you to stand outside his room or on a street corner and just look up when I text you and look menacing. Just
stay tuned for the Unshaven drama. So anyway, all of those things are working. I'm really excited to say like we've got a lot of things cooking this coming Friday. I have 3 meetings with outside vendors that are trying to get a hold of us for their services. So we're going to take a look at kind of if you see an Unshaven threadless shop or a TikTok shop, those are 2 names I can tell you. They're just different avenues for us. And I will say this much. After we hit stop, Kyle, I'll give you more of the actual details. But suffice to say, everybody, double thumbs up for Unshaven Comics. So far, so okay. No one said no yet. A lot of people said definitely interested, and we acknowledge fully our brand is not big enough to cater to some grandiose company, but to the people that are looking for the young and hungry folk, we did the legwork necessary, and all credit due where it is. Kyle is the one that said, "You only live once, let's do this show." We would not have gone had he not said so. And
Aw.
because of that, who knows where we go from here. But
Wait, did you just pin this on me in case it blows up in our faces?
not at all.
Crap. Okay, well, we're just gonna keep
well,
running
I do
until our
believe
head until we get there or head first into the brick wall.
Pretty much. Now, beyond that,
I do believe Kyle's exact words were, "We're not getting younger."
As deeply evidenced.
it's only because I sit under yellow lights, you guys can't actually make out how much of this is going. Um,
No,
uh,
no, I knocked my mic over.
that aside,
There we
on
go.
the flight
Yeah.
home is the last good that I want to touch on. Yeah, we were on a half full flight on the way home, which meant Matt got an entire row to himself.
Look, to be fair, I will
To
set
be
this up.
fair,
To be fair, I'll set up the fact that we got to the airport. We were able to put that drama of car rental return and getting to the airport and everything else behind us. So once we were able to sit in, get some food, kind of
Thanks, Airport
settle in,
Burger
and
King.
yeah.
ugh.
Once we were able to finally get settled in and get to our gate and everything else, we just patiently waited for our time, and sure enough, when they were like, "Okay, we're, A group start boarding," everything else, we got in our spots, and once people were starting to line up, like we're looking around going like there's a huge gap between like A1 or something, and like we were like what, 20,
20.
21, something goofy like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're like, this is what's going on. And then they just came over the announcement is, I think they were like, "Hey guys, we have 129 seats on this plane. We only booked 68," or something of that nature. So
Yeah.
we were immediately like, oh baby. So, so once we got on, I believe Mark and Kyle sat in a row. And
Mark had the
each
window and I had the aisle, so Mark, we both had some
nobody in
leg
the
room.
middle. Right. And then I sat opposite and I took a window, and I was very respectful. I didn't try any TikTok or YouTube, pranks to try and save a seat. I mean, there was no point. Like, there was the plane was not sold out, but I understand people like to sit up front. So I just looked out the window, just chilled out. And by the time they closed the door and I looked over, like there was nobody sitting in the row with me. So I think at some point I was just like, okay. And we were all pretty tired from the day and the whatnot. I think maybe I got 20 minutes of sleep. or
Matt,
something.
I don't mean to say something or
You got
distract you,
somebody
but
behind you.
somebody small is coming down the staircase behind you.
Oh,
Chucky's coming.
let's look.
Chucky's coming for you.
Hi. Hi. Come here. Oh,
Somebody has entered the chat. Welcome everybody. This is Molly.
Hey, look in there.
Hi,
Who's that?
Molly.
Who's that?
I forgot.
You forgot. Oh, that's lovely. So Uncle Kyle, Uncle Mark, you want to say hi?
Hi.
Hello.
She can't
Hi.
hear
You
us.
know what we're
I know
doing right
she
now?
can't.
Boy.
We're recording a podcast, which means you're going to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
Someone's
Now's her
excited about
chance.
social media.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say. You going to bed?
Yeah.
Night, baby.
Good.
Aw.
Bye.
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 There you go. What a great transition.
So
yeah,
there you are.
that was Vegas.
Hi.
Fantastic. Double thumbs up. Now it doesn't stop, guys. We get off the plane. Matt and I take an Uber ride to Homewood, where we each get, as it would turn out, we both got home in the basically my butt hit the couch for sleep at 2:00, but my brain was wired for sound, so I didn't get to sleep till about 2:45, and then woke up at 7 and immediately rolled out, got to Matt, picked him up. Now Kyle went back to the Great White North of Kenosha.
Yeah, my family unfortunately would not have been able to sustain a week and a half of me not here holding the ship together with duct tape. So
Kyle went back
what's
to
gonna
by-
happen?
Which, by the way, I have to briefly mention. Matt Nepper. It was lovely to see your brother. Haven't seen him in quite a while.
It
So
was
nice to see that he's still alive.
My brother, the saint of a person that he is, met us at Midway Airport at 2 a.m. to drive me home. So I could not ask for a better big brother. So I thanked him
I do believe
over and over again.
there is a saying for Chicagoans, and we can modify it. It's we don't say we love you in the Midwest. We say we'll pick you up from Midway.
We'll pick you up from the airport. Yeah, it's the truth. So Matt and I had to go up to the Cherry Capital Con that started the same day without
We're
our.
so on fumes.
I will admit there have been some difficult con rides for us in the past. St. Louis, for whatever it is worth, is the worst effing drive. I think like I will drive to Atlanta for 12 hours and it feels like a breeze. The drive, half of that to St. Louis, feels just as long. This
I don't
trip
know.
up,
Winnipeg was pretty up there.
well, it's the needless 2 hours of death march through the
Yeah,
snow.
it's
Yeah.
there's a desolation, and I think that part of that was the time of year, because there's a point where it's like snowy fields, black ice, and just no signs of life for like
Well, no, it
2 hours around the border in each direction.
It was fall, and it's like we're riding up the butt crack of North Dakota, like literally, and it just went down weather-wise the further you went north. So
Yeah,
anyway,
it's awful. But anyway, this drive to Traverse City sucked. Matt and I made as many stops as we might take on an 8-hour journey to go for. But we made our way up to the show. And I wanted to just dive in right now and just talk about the con itself, Cherry Capital Con. It happens every year, Memorial Day weekend at the Grand Traverse Resort. This show had been told to us by Jim McLean, longtime friend, Michiganer by birth. Said, "This is my favorite show to do, guys. It's so wonderful. You stay in a resort. The food is amazing. The staff helps you to your booth. They literally come out and meet you, and they set up your booth, and they fluff your pillows, and they give you water, and they give you a small back rub. You know, now I wouldn't say Matt and I got any of that." But by the time we showed up, the show was going to start in like an hour and a half. Any of the volunteer help had kind of already moved on. But luckily, one of the local DJs who was setting up a booth in kind of the outer hallway lent us
the breezeway area, yeah.
Yeah, he lent us one of his carts. So they actually let us pull over to the load-in area. So we got everything off and into this very beautiful ballroom. The show itself, I'd say, was like comparable in size to like a Kokomo, Indiana show, and maybe a little smaller.
No, I would say it was more comparable to Fanfare, Detroit Fanfare, because the Fanfare was held in a big ballroom.
Oh, okay. I remember Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, there was like there was like 7 or 8 rows of booths
Yeah.
overall.
I mean, like same vibe as far as like a hotel ballroom, but a little smaller than Fanfare. But I mean, it's that kind of ballpark. So
yeah, but I guess the thing to take advantage of it, like that everybody that you're seeing on Friday night, you're going to see basically for the whole weekend because they're there, but they're all basically rolling downstairs. And without Kyle and having just spent a week in Las Vegas and on basically no sleep, Matt and I set up for Friday, and I don't think we ever really got our steam on in 2.5 days. Held up the sign, we stood up a little bit, we pitched, and we sold books.
How many?
5. And Matt
oops,
sold.
my mom's calling. I gotta go get her from Midway. Hold on.
How about this, Kyle? You tell me a number, and then I'll tell you higher or lower.
20? And
Lower.
5?
Ding ding ding
Higher.
ding ding ding.
No, we sold more than 5. We
7?
we sold one on Friday. I think we sold like 6.
Well, plus the one in Las Vegas. We're gonna count that.
Yeah, that's true. We can't forget the rollover from Las Vegas. So 7, baby.
We said we would count that. We said we would count that. We said we would count that at Las Vegas. That would count. Mark's pulling the paperwork.
This is why we track numbers, folks.
And why we shouldn't. Oh, I see. 6, 7. Oh, we're counting Vegas too?
Yes.
We're counting
8,
Vegas.
baby. 8 books.
8. Well.
What? Terrible.
That was so bad.
Oh, so bad.
We tried. We were on Steam. We were literally we weren't even on Steam. We were on like the vapor of Steam itself. So
just
there's
hydrogen molecules
that play into every single show. Yeah. There's always several factors that play into every single show.
And look, Kyle, if you had been there, Kyle, legitimately, maybe for the whole weekend we might have hit 20. Seriously, just with the amount of traffic, the amount of people, the vibe overall, it wasn't a heavy purchase show. It was, there's a lot to do. There's a couple of cosplay contests, and
there's a game. There was a big gaming area.
It's a nice show. It is.
It's an absolutely beautiful show. But I mean, it also kind of lends itself to the fact that, at least from a selling perspective, it's hard to sell to no one because there were large gaps in time where literally nobody was coming down the aisle.
Yeah.
So, and again, this kind of, I want to turn this to a lesson for any up and comers that are listening to our podcast. You can do everything right. We had the banner up, we had comics, we had polka cards, I had my art. We were even though we were on like super low energy, we were actively trying to sell to people and do what we normally do. But there are just some shows that just nobody's biting for some reason. And it's funny in some ways because there were people in our row, and there was an artist that was opposite us at the end of the row. I wound up talking to him for just a minute or two. He had done a beautiful, beautiful Voltron commission for somebody in pencil.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Beautiful work.
Absolutely. And I was just talking to him. I'm like, hey, man, how's the show going for you? And he's like, oh my God, this is like
top 3.
Yeah. He's like, this is coming into like this is almost beating out like the best show I've ever done in my life. And it's like, bruh. So obviously like that gets into your head psychologically, like what are we doing wrong? and you could be doing nothing wrong. And it's just sometimes the con just has nothing for you. It's the same thing. Like I went and I got a book from Jay Fosgitt for my daughter, who just made a lovely appearance here. And she absolutely she loves that book. She's been reading it. She likes it a lot.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I was just like, hey man, how's this show treating you? Because, he's 2 aisles over from us, maybe more in like a main area. And his response, this is one of my favorite shows, top three, beats out C2E2. Like I clean up. And again, it's just some shows don't have anything for you for some goofy reason. Nothing
And
against
Jay, I
you.
think Jay is from Michigan too.
Right. Okay.
So
So
it may be a Michigan thing.
I don't know, but I mean, like it's just something I just want to put out to people that are, if they're listening and they're any up and comers or new fans of ours, and you want to venture into this world, you can do everything right and still strike out. So
It happens. But anyway,
yeah,
the show was the show. We did it. We worked it. We did make our 8 sales. And I made a handful of Pokemon card sales and whatnot. So it was
now
by no means.
speaking of the food for that show.
But before we do that,
yeah.
I was not there, but just to bounce off of Matt's, as always, we tip to the wisdom of Star Trek, specifically Next Generation, where Jean-Luc Picard says, "It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is
Yes,
not weakness. That is life."
There you
very
go.
true. Very
Well
true.
stated. And yeah, that does bring me to the food. The good thing about that. So Matt and I, first of all, we did not stay at the Grand Traverse Resort. No offense, but 150 a night, as nice as the room might have been, is still 150 a night. And I wanted us to save a little bit of money, so we went out of town to Kalkaska, which is like 15 minutes
the,
away.
the next town over.
Next town over. It's a small, sleepy town, nice looking though. And we stayed at the All American or All Something Resort Inn, and it was lovely. Like it
Yes.
was $100 a night, and kind of a small, cozy hotel. No elevator, just one flight of stairs up to our room. And luckily, that room took my vintage video game stick. And Matt and I spent some quality time playing some old video games.
It worked in Las Vegas, the Orleans too. It just had an issue with the TV. It would play it, but it would play it at maximum volume with no discernible way to turn it down. So
Yeah,
as long as we were okay with the whole floor hearing what we were playing while also destroying our eardrums, we could have played.
true.
Tech Romancer.
Yes. So Matt and I ended up finding some great games. We could drone on about it, but suffice to say, the other thing is like we wanted to eat that first night, and we went into town ish, air quotes, and there was a restaurant that was highly regarded. Thank you, TripAdvisor, called The Trout. So we pull
Well,
up to this unassuming
Okay.
bar
well,
cabin thing.
I would like to preference that I believe Friday night was like a preview night kind of situation. So this was also coming off the fact of like what is open and what's not closing in the next 2 hours. And I believe Mark uh cycled through some options, and I believe one of them was, Matt, would you prefer smoked meats, or I believe
Pizza.
or pizza? And I said smoked meats. So that is how we landed in the Trout restaurant.
Yeah, no, the Trout itself, by the way, is owned by a 40-year culinary vet. Basically, it sounded like he kind of wanted to retire, and this is his retirement restaurant to make the food that he wants to make. And it was fantastic. Matt got
Mhm.
brisket. I got brisket mixed into mac and cheese and a salad. Fantastic food.
Oh yeah.
Just
Well, I
really good.
again, we pulled in on a Friday, and just to let you know, like they were advertising it's Fish Fry Friday, and I have to say, fried perch, fried shrimp, and there was a third option in there for something else, but all you could eat for $24. Like that is a good deal. And looking at their
Such a
menu,
deal. Since this is just
such a
going
deal.
purely back into food again, hold on.
Yes. Yeah, sorry. Bye, Kyle. Um, such a deal. It really was such a deal. It was a really nice little mom and pop shop. And yet again, taking, you know, I am 0 for 2 is just looking at the menu and everything else. I asked the waitress, I'm like, I am torn. The fish fry sounds amazing. The smoked brisket sounds amazing as well. What would you choose? And she literally gave a serious debate, and she said, the fish is local and it's good. She's like, but that brisket is really, really good. So I went with the brisket. I do not regret that decision. So
It was great. The whole meal was fantastic. And Matt, I would correct you. You were 2 for 2, not 0 for
2
2.
for 2. Sorry. Nah, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It worked out. And the next night we had
My
some
drink's
local
getting to me.
Next night we had some local pizza. It was good. Anyway,
Mm.
the last little bit I want to talk about before we start to wrap this up. Matt and I on the ride home, I was
Any
fearing
better than to drive up?
yes. So
Okay.
like
Yeah, we actually had our energy back.
the energy came back, and I would say with about 90 minutes to go, the well, I'm just gonna air my grievances out right now. Matt has a tendency to doom scroll. And what he
I do.
doesn't know is that the biggest pet peeve I have in my car is people doom scrolling, because my ADD ears hear the sound clip changing and changing and changing. And I keep wanting to, like, what is it? What is it? What is it? So, in order to prevent the doom scroll, I just word vomited out, like, we need to talk about the Samurnauts. And for 90 minutes, Matt and I bashed out.
I tried to not doom scroll. I know you like to talk when driving. So
Yes. Well, it's one way to keep me awake,
yes.
and not plow us into a ditch. But for 90 minutes, Matt and I talked Samurnauts lore. And I will say it's the biggest regret of that trip is not having Kyle there, but we'll
Yeah.
catch you up on all of it. But effectively, there is a story of ours that, without giving anything away, we're kind of holding it for somebody that we met in Las Vegas. And I kind of had that OS moment where I'm like, we don't actually have anything about it. We literally have a drawing, but there's no other details real. So we sat for the last 90 minutes of the car ride, just back and forth going through building ideas, basically how we've always done this. And we know, like, there's these footholds we left for Kyle where he's just going to come in and savant that crap. And that's how the secret sauce is made. We're excited for all of you fans to see it when we get to it. But suffice to say, like, it cemented a whole bunch of lore that I think was kind of mush in my brain, and it's less mushy now. So we pulled up at a reasonable hour on Sunday night, and
We did.
we had that Monday Memorial Day to kind of like sleep and get the gears back in place. And here we are a week later. And yeah, that was a long week for Unshaven Comics. Maybe the longest it has ever been.
In it's the longest one that we've done in a long time, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we survived, and we're better for it.
I was only there for
That
half of
being
it, and it was a long week.
Yeah. That being said, nothing against Traverse City. Absolutely nothing against Traverse City or the con or anybody else. But if it is continually on Memorial Day weekend, religiously, me personally right now, it's nothing against the con itself. It's just Memorial Day weekend as it is. My kids are young enough. I kind of like to reserve, it lands kind of in the beginning or in the middle, depending on where you're at, of the convention season for us. And I like to have that weekend to just be family time, personally. And, the con itself, again, lovely, beautiful people, absolutely adored them, adored the location. I don't know if I'm rushing back to that show as on personal level, just because I would rather take Memorial Day weekend and be with the fam. So
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I would actually just go as far as to say is the juice ain't worth the squeeze. It's a nice place to have visited. It's a good story to have. It's now been documented both here on Spotify and YouTube. So may it last forever. And Michigan, there's other shows we'll be at. We're not out of the woods, so we'll
Yep.
see you.
Yeah, and as a transition, that brings us to the other one because you never know what the future holds. You guys we've done North Carolina once years ago, and it didn't go great, but in a couple of weekends, we're gonna give it another shot.
Yeah, and
So
thank you, Kyle,
Mhm.
because that's what I wanted to end us with. The next cons that you can catch Unshaven Comics at in this year. So far, we only have 2 more scheduled. There may be a late comer. I'm sure Kyle and I on the drive down to North Carolina might find what else is out there for us because we're hungry for some sales. But we're going to be at Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you are listening to this podcast and you want a no expenses paid trip to Charlotte, then you are welcome to be our third. Join us in the car, not doom scroll, and enjoy one of the great independent comic book shows left in the country.
and you can spend like 10 or 11 hours in a car ride with these smiling faces.
Well, 2.
Just
Right.
you did. Yeah.
2.
Yeah. I'm not going, folks. It's too close together, and I also have a family vacation planned. Mark, you should probably, if we have any of those notes that you and I fever dreamed up on the way back from Traverse City, forward those on to Kyle so that you guys
Oh, yeah.
can break those down in the car. And to the person that actually winds up going, if anybody gets picked, we hope somebody does, you can actually see a little bit behind the creation of just how some of that stuff gets made. So
We'll have a handy dandy NDA form for you to sign as as you get into the car before you leave.
Yeah, you
we
read
could
my
be
mind.
licensing. We could be licensing.
Read in my mind, kid. And after Heroes Con, you can also catch us in Baltimore for my personal favorite show in America, the Baltimore Comic Con. That is
going back,
September
baby.
September 20th through the 22nd in Baltimore, Maryland. Can't wait for that show. It's going to be fantastic. And we'll look for something else late in the year if there's a Comic Con that happens in October, November, or December. Hopefully we can do that too because Unshaven Comics is broke and we need to start making money again.
Yeah. We spent all our money at the Vegas show, not on gambling, just on the show.
Right.
So
stay
need
tuned for
those
that
sales.
Baltimore recap, and so you can see Kyle check out again when we talk about food.
It's okay. It's okay. We
He's
all
not a
have our
foodie, folks,
things.
and we love him for it, and we have known this for years. That's why
It's how the stew of Unshaven
we
Comics
plan
works.
around it. Although we did have, I don't know if we shared that or not, the secret expedition that we're going to be taking on in Baltimore for Kyle with Wendy's.
Oh,
I don't know if we're still doing that or not.
we may or may not. Stay tuned for closer to Baltimore, folks. We may or may not be having a thing, and yeah, it's about Wendy's.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right. I think with that in mind, we're going to call it a close on this special Unshaven Comics Rant-Cast. So thank you everyone for listening to the Unshaven Rant-Cast. I have been your host, Mark Allen Fishman, joined by Matt Wright.
If anybody's knowing, it's whiskey in this cup.
And Kyle Nepper.
Ahoy, ahoy.
Using that for hello and goodbye now. All right.
It works for both.
Okay. Now be sure to like our Facebook and
like aloha.
right. Or shalom. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, leave a 5-star review on whatever app you found this podcast on. And as always, stay unshaven.
Stay
Stay unshaven.
Perfect.
We'll never get
one day.
No.
One day. Weren't we supposed to do this in the same room at Vegas and we just biffed it?
Didn't do it at all, but hey, that's okay.
No.
You know what? I might call I'll call Dan
get
Levy.
That AC fixed.
Yeah, I'll call Dan Levy and have him do some audio magic and make it happen. So that's it. We'll talk to you guys later. Hit stop recording now.